Good afternoon. This is FIDE Senior Trainer and International Master Chess Coach Sekhar Sahu welcomes you on behalf of Sports Authority of Gujarat and Gujarat State Chess Session to this intermediate training session. So I will be covering thematic endgames. It is not elements of basic endgames. It is from exploitation of small advantage and then some thematic tactical concepts followed by compensation for queen sacrifices in the opening and middle game. Now let's see, this position is between Botvinnik and Kotanor. White has a distinct advantage. Black has a very bad bishop and a very poorly placed knight. White has better bishop, better knight and better pawn structure and more active king. So how should White plan? White has an advantage, it is not enough. How should White plan now? Hello Tanishq, Ramakrishna, king should head to h3, c3. The point is, many people get ideas, but the Botvinnik plans, the correct plan, first cover the weakness. You are right, Ramakrishna. He wants to cover because knight h6, if counterplay is there. So you want to cover the weakness and then create a pawn breakthrough on the king side. Correct plan. This is the point. Now black has nil counterplay and then white will prepare a pawn breakthrough on the king side. Now creating h passer, preparing for h passer. Now the king has done the job. Now there is no more counterplay on b4, so you should hurry up to the king side, keeping the knight down. Now the point is, exchanging the pawn will be very good for white because the f4, f5 breakthrough will come later on. A pawn into pawn, bishop into pawn, then bishop into h7 and with a clear advantage. And now defending. Even knight to h3 was also good enough, but this is more precise, heading to the e6 weakness, forcing the bishop to a very passive place. I think it is now the end of the game because the king is tied down now, forced. There is no way to stop nc7. Now it is simply one of the threat is good knight, bad bishop endgame, and after that white will play with two pieces. Forced to bishop c8. Bishop c8 was more tougher, but this is making much more easier. Don't play bishop and knight till you are more ready. And he resigned. It is a little bit premature. It looks like that it is premature, but there is no answer. Now at the moment, there is simply no answer to bishop f1 and the pawn is lost. There is no answer. bd7 is not working. Okay. So this is lost. Okay. Now I would like to go deep. So hello sir, who is this? Yes, Arun Master, Kanak. Now some more end games, thematic end games. All right, this position it should be winning because why? What is the strong point? Now black rook is very passive. Number one, because white rook is behind the pawn. White rook is active in front of the pawn. Normally rook behind is good, but here it is very active. And also there is no counterplay for black because that g pawn can easily be defended by king by g3. No more counterplay. Now why this move? Because the rook should not stay. Now sideway protection. While protecting the pawn, the rook is active. So the idea is to play rook b3, making rook active and then operate slowly. Defending the third rank, the g3 pawn, and the king advances. Now it is enough. Pawn f4. It is like a rook and king versus only rook. There is no target. Simply winning. Now check is of no use. Forced. It's all over. So the whole point is now passive pieces and weaknesses. So they become overburden for the defending point side. Now, this position, it is very interesting that black has got advantage 2-1 majority. But what is the plan? You should exhaust the king side pawns, moves of white, king side pawns. Okay, force on pawn into pawn, g4, g5 paralyzed. Now the pawns have no pawn move, so you can give the break and wait at g6, b6, and outside pass pawn. The king coming to f to f7 and g7, it is too slow. Now too slow. There are many ways to win it. Finish. This is finish. Winning. Another second pass pawn has been created and king can come. Even without the pawn also it should win. So it is method of playing. Now this is what is the method of playing here. It is now white to play. So white plays bishop to, the rook is entering rook check, and so only bishop comes there. How should you play? You have a two choice. You can go rook c8 or you can go rook check. Which is the one you will choose? You can give a rook check or go to rook c8. Which is the correct path? Good afternoon, Tirth Parmar. Now black has two choice, rook c8 or rook d3 check. Which is more correct? There are two variations. Rook check is there, rook c8 is there. Which one you choose? So Tirth Parmar says rook c8. Anybody else? Anybody else? Tanishq rook c8. Anybody? Rook c8 is a bad move. White gets a clear better game. The correct move is to bring rook to d3. This is correct move. Why? Because on rook c8, white gets a big advantage after rook. There is no rook check. Now rook has become active. You are giving time you are giving time to white, and now counterplay. White is clearly better. Forced. That is the reason to avoid. You must not allow the rook to become active. Check. King a2 is bad. After king a2, then he has got rook to h3. Rook to h3 is there. The king is going backward. So, forced. There is nothing. Check king. On rook into pawn, check. So that why check? Because you need a room for the king at d5. Check and take the pawn. Now you may lose the a pawn or g pawn. It doesn't matter. Active king. Active king. Passive moves will lose. One, if you play passively, these are lose. Passive moves will lose the game. So, and now rook check. Forced. You cannot go up, get mated. Forced, check, forced, and now rook. I don't think there is a win here. I don't think there is any more win here, because now it is not the pawn, the king is also entering. The rook is cutting off. Number one, this is cutting off. The king is entering and the knight is there. So there will be no time for white to realize his material advantage. Rather forced, because he is preparing a mating net. So force rather. Check. Now knight. You cannot take that pawn anyway. You cannot take that pawn, because if you take that pawn in a knight check and rook check, he is so forced. Now king to g3, g2, and it is a draw. It is a rook pawn draw, because the quality of the pawn, you must now grab the b2 pawn, so both the pawns are weak. Draw. And now rook behind pawn. Next move, king f6. Next move. So lesson from the game, we learned that we must not activate the opponent pieces. We must stay active. Many times even at cost of material. So Grandmaster Laszlo Zavo, he played very actively. Next. What about this position on the board? The position now, black has extra pawn. Black pawn is queening this way. So how should black play now? Black to play, find a winning plan. Oh, hey Prabhu. Tirth Parmar, these are endgame errors. King d5 is a draw. If you play king d5, he will play rook check, rook into rook, and king d2. King d5 is a draw. Because rook into rook check, rook into rook, and king d2 opposition. These are endgame errors. You must be very careful. After rook into rook, king d2, king c4, king c2, draw. King d5 is a mistake. King d6. So, sorry, it was white to play, and now king d5 is a mistake. So, here rook. king. Now not king c5. King c5 is a draw. Rook into pawn check. Now rook b6 check is losing. King into and king a5 will win. And cut off. It should win the game. Now the king is cut off. The king is cut off here. And the king will slowly slip. The king will slowly slip. It was better. It is here also loses because the pawn. Once pawn on 5th rank, just you don't need the king, rook. Just king is enough. So it comes check. Now king and winning. The pawn is going to 5th rank now. Rook check, king b2. Push and winning. It's hot and humid today. So the position is white to play. This is a very interesting game. You will learn some good ideas from this good concept. With rooks on the board, it is winning. Without rooks, it is a draw. So how should white play? Hello, creative mind. What is the winning plan for white? No, I want a plan. I agree the black rook is having not. What is the plan? Can somebody show me the plan? No, activating king is rook is activating. Rook c4 is more correct. You may ask what the rook is doing. Basically, the rook is preparing to come in the line. This is the point. Now he is giving a threat. He is giving a threat. Forced. And now, so that why this move? Because someday the rook has planned to come this side. Someday rook may come into the weakness. So this is the right moment. Get rid of the backward pawn. Now it is very difficult for black to approach white's weakness, but white can approach many weaknesses. White has got pawn breakthrough, the king entry, rook entry, forced, good move, again good move. The idea is h4 g5. Now rook takes pawn. This, you see, many times when people get material, they are excited and become careless. The position is not easy. Now you have to take rook into pawn, counterplay. What should you do now? So rook is attacked so desperately. Now black has got counterplay. What is the plan now? If you play pawn into pawn, the unexpected check is coming. Mate. Unexpected check is coming. So white cannot play pawn into pawn. Pawn check is a mate. So many times people play for a win. So is this a good position for white? Now white, this is actual continuation in the game. So is this a good position for white? Tell me, is this a good position? White cannot play pawn into pawn. Pawn checkmate. What should white do? Now black is threatening this mate. B is 6. There comes the answer. Bishop e6. Bolt from the blue. Bishop e6. Because on pawn into pawn, not rook into rook, again checkmate, but you have got this pawn check. And then take rook into rook. Make a room for the king. After king move, I have room for the king. So after king here, I will take. So this is lost. So here, unexpected bishop move. Take. You cannot take rook into rook. Push. And second pass pawn. Now simply h5, h6. h6. Next rook a8. Winning. It's not easy. Many times we take it for granted, but you have to calculate carefully, otherwise one can get mated in the center of the board. That is what happened. Karpov making got mated in the center of the board. Okay, next. The position is it is black to play. Okay, it is white have upper hand because two bishops and very active position for the bishops. So black played this. So how should white play now? You need to find a plan. Material is equal, but black position is worse and white need to find a plan how to win. What is the winning plan for white? No, not correct. You will throw away all your winning chances. After bishop into e5, it is a dead draw. After bishop e5, it is a dead draw. For example, b e5, f e5, Then king g4, bishop h6. King g4, bishop h6 is a draw. So b5 is a bad move. The point is, your white has got only one plan. Your king must filter. Your king must filter. So you have to wait for right moment. Wait. Now you are ready to hit. Now you are ready. More ready. Earlier what happened? He was having time. Now, for example, if you take bishop takes, it is bad, wrong timing. It is wrong timing. Now pawn into, and now if you go king, he will go. Not this bad move. G7 is coming, but bishop here, and next king is coming. No more win. No more win here. So you be patient. Bishop waiting move, and now bishop ready. King is ready to enter, and now hit. King. There is no time for king. Pawn G7 is coming, and it is an entry. Go away. No counter play. Just go away, far away. King, into, and now this is winning it back again. Zugzwang. You run into Zugzwang now. You can play even king f6, but make sure everything is blocked. And pass pawn. He need not. He could have waited a little more also, but pass pawn. Forced. Takes. Now this is lost because if you play pawn push here, just a king and pawn push, the bishop is paralyzed. Or alternately, you push the pawn, then bishop attacks. Bishop attacks. You push the pawn, then bishop comes here. King into, winning easily. Okay. Okay, next. Many times it is the plan that is important. Okay, in this position, it is white is having a clear upper hand. Clear upper hand. What is the plan? What is the winning plan? Okay. It is not the outpost. It is now the point is you need to get this pawn breakthrough at right time. This is the idea. This is the idea. You need to prepare for that. Because there is a weak point. The knight can enter. Knight. Now knight into pawn is bad. Knight into pawn is bad move because knight check, and now rook, winning the game. This is an easy win. Rook entry, and there is a mating attack. So you cannot take knight into pawn. So only move. Check. And it is systematic pawn breakthrough. Before making breakthrough, to make ensure rook are maintained. Now counterplay, winning. It is in the game this king never participate active pieces. The target, the square. It is very easy winning. Then the pawn is restricting. The pawn is restricting the knight. This is lost endgame. It should win. Threat rook into knight. It is an instructive end game by former world champion. It is material equal, but plus passive pieces, bad king position. Forced, made threat, forced, and now RD7, E7 wins the game. He will get mated. Rook into C4, then rook check and mate, or you can play knight C7 and take and win the game. So it is an excellent example that even though the material equal, active pieces and superior pieces, pawn structure wins the game. Now some tactics. The position, it is white to play and win. Let us apply it to some tactics. White to play and win. Tactics, white to play and win. Karthik, rook e5. You have to give the variation, Karthik. You have to give variation. Rook e5, king e, pawn into, queen into. You have to give the variation. Karthik, rook e5, pawn e5, queen e5, bishop g4. What do you do? Tanishq and creative mind, rook e2. You need to give a follow-up. That is the correct answer. Rook e5 is correct move. Pawn into, queen into. Now bishop takes pawn, queen d4, and now king c8, and white wins with bishop check. Bishop check winning, because you cannot come. Then knight check here, and knight check wins. Knight check wins, winning the game. So you have to take bishop into, but then you have a choice to mate. You don't have to take queen. I think this is mate. This you have to take queen. Take queen, winning the game. If the bishop was the queen check is coming, it is a mate. So only move and then finish. Okay, well done. Rook e2 is not good move. After you play rook e2, there is counter play. I think there will be counter play now, because bishop takes pawn can come. No? Maybe here. I guess counter play can come here, because even knight g6 can come with counter play. You have to guard g2, g3 check. So unnecessary counter play. So this is finishing the game. All right. The position is white to play and win. Next position. Oh, it's so hot today, warm. White to play and win. It's not easy. Getting a good position is not enough. You need to find a plan. How do you win? Not correct. Not correct. No. Not sufficient. Creative mind and Kanak Sri is wrong. Viresh, no. Tirth Parmar, hello. Hello, Elaveta. How are you? Now the correct move is d4, Tirth Parmar, because you need a target. You need NB5 and tempo. Creating a target, d4, a fantastic move. D4. You have to take you cannot take with the queen. On queen, the knight b5 is over. Knight b5 wins the queen because of a deadly threat at c7. Only move, but then knight and now winning the game. Third attack, and now knight into, because after knight into bishop check is coming. If you play knight into, then bishop check is overwhelming. So only move bishop check, and now knight into, and it will get mated. Checkmate. So d4 is an excellent move, very well played, timely move. Now the position is white to play. White to play and win. Correct answer, knight into f6. Knight into f6. There is no time for queen into queen. Knight into e8 check is there. Losers exchange. So only move knight into, but then bishop check, and bishop check, and now queen attacked. Check, queen attacked. There is no answer to queen b3. So black must lose the queen. Even after that also is lost. This is winning. Very well played, knight f6. Timely. Well done. Next. The position is white to play. And win. Not correct answer. Not correct answer. Queen b7 is wrong. Wrong answer. Queen b7 is not correct. Queen a8 is correct. The only move. Now rook into. Rook into. The point is rook into rook is unplayable because queen into check, then rook check and rook checkmate. This is the mating pattern. So queen into and then rook check and mate. So you have to take with the king. But that loses everything. Check, check. It is lost completely. This is all hopeless. Okay. So well done. But you have to see the rook move. This now also it is wrong. You have to see rook into and then winning the game. Queen a8 check is the correct answer. Okay. The position is black to play. So I will flip the board. Black to play and win. Hey, Prabhu. Okay, Tanis, bye. How should black play here? Black to play and win. B3 is the wrong answer. B3 does not do anything. Not correct. B3 is wrong. There is apparent no threat. B3 is not a serious threat. What is there in B3? Rook into B3 will come. Or Rook into B3 can come. Not NB6. NB6 is wrong. If you play NB6, it is a black will get checkmated. After you play knight B6, bishop check and rook check, rook here and mate. You move the knight, bishop F6 check wins. You can't move the knight. This will mate. It will mate. That is why rook g5. That is the reason the mate threat is there. So rook into g5 stops that. And now knight wins. Because only move, there is no other move, pawn push. The only move. Now knight into, only move and double mate threat. Mate threat on a2 and mate threat on back rank mate threat, e1. There are two mate threats. So rook into g5. Rook into g5 is the solution. Force, everything is forced. Forced to capture. Only one square. Again only one move. Only move. Now two threats, no answer. Two mate threats. Okay, so all right, we are moving forward. What is your judgment of the position? Now both have pass pawns. This is a pass pawn and this is also a pass pawn. But this is poorly placed. So the position is white to play. So what is the result of the game? What is the result of the game? Or she goes, Tirth Parmar says draw. So show me the draw. If you say draw, then what is the variation? How can white draw the game? Show me. Show me the draw. Tell me the moves. Now execute. What should white do? If you want to draw, what will you do? Huh? King d6. King d6. How it will draw? How it will draw? Jugal Mehta, Harsi, Dutt, Tirth Parmar. How it will draw? King d6 is not correct. Not correct move. How king d6 will draw? d3. After king d6, black will play d3. King d3 loses. The correct move is bishop c8. Now pawn push, king. Pawn push, king. Now queen, check. And now bishop check. This is the draw. Basically, king d6 will transpose. This is the draw. Forced to take, and it is a stalemate. Stalemate. That is the resource. Technically, it is a lost game, but resource of stalemate saves him. Now, this check does not work because here he will attack last pawn, and if you take, he will take it. So, this check does not work. You have to push. Now, you cannot halt. You cannot play now king, because if you play, then this is a draw. Now, if after the move, this is a draw. This should be draw. Enough to draw. Forced. Stalemate. Next. The position is white to play and win. How does white win here? भाई ये कैसा ड्रॉ होगा? Vinoy, not yeah, hanging queen, right? Rook into d6. The point is, if the king captures, the queen check, and queen is aiming at this point, and a knight check is imminent. After queen into queen check, and white will force a knight check. Now this does not help. Then ng5 followed by nd5. This does not help. Knight e5 followed by nd5. So anyway, the deadly check is coming. Queen check. No matter what black will do, a check is coming. So he cannot take the rook. After take, he comes knight. No problem. The queen check. Now king d6, king e8 does not matter. This rook double wins. Deadly. Simply there is no answer. Bishop cannot come out. Loses material and winning the game. So only move. Check, 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 and picking up the queen. So Well played. You need to notice that queen a5 weak point. It is not easy to calculate everything. The point is, you should see before capture what happens, that this is the move you have to evaluate. He cannot defend. But this is also, unfortunately, this resource also does not help black. He has pinned queen. Still it is winning. Rook, queen into, there is a check is coming anyway. So that queen into d8, rook into d8, rook into winning the game. So you have to come anyway. Now knight into, and now pawn push. Once again, black king is in a mating net. He is in a mating net. Forced. Bishop e6 forced. Mate. Checkmate. It is not easy to calculate all these things. However, the initiative is very strong. A player can find all these things over the board. Yeah. No, that is not working. After this is not working. What you say, after king into d6, now queen d2, king c6. No, king c6 also does not work. Knight into. So how do I win? Knight into, check, and king here. Then queen check, Ganpat. This is also Ganpat. This is also king in a mess only. King is in a mess. It's a mate. Okay. So I'll go to the next diagram. You are convinced? RC is convinced? This position is white to play and win. You have to find a tactical finesse. White is winning with excellent tactics. It is very warm, humid. It is hot and humid. The climate has changed. So warm. So please tell me how this position white wins. No. Not rook d6. No. Not convincing. Rook d6 is bad. No, there is counterplay. If you play rook into d6, rook e4 is coming. You do not have time rook d6 because rook into e4. This is a bad move. Rook d6 is bad. Counterplay is there. Black's counterplay rook e4. Followed by queen d6. Rook e4 followed by queen d6. So rook d6 is not good. Rook e4, queen d6 will win. So don't play rook d6. Rook d6 is bad, I told you already. Rook d6, rook e4. If you play rook d6, rook into e4 will come. Not correct. Not correct. Even queen into. Even queen into also, because rook into rook check, queen into, and then rook into rook check is coming. Not correct. rd6 is a wrong move. Queen into d6 also working. How much material you will give? Queen d6 and rook into rook and pawn into. No, bg7 is not correct. bg7 also is not correct. No, not bg7. Yes, Vinay. Knight into c5 winning. The correct answer. The point is, after queen into, the queen remains unprotected and loses the game. Bishop into, only move. Queen h5 with a double mate threat, and bishop threat winning the queen. Two threat at same time. Mate threat is there and bishop check is there. This is the correct one. You should not play queen d6. This is not queen d6. This is not correct. Not correct. Because you can even give the queen. How much material you will give? How much material? I don't see an easy thing for you. Not correct. And now bishop into pawn, bishop into queen here will get mated. To checkmate. So this is bad position. So here the simple win scored by white. Knight into force move, bishop into force move, queen h5 force move, bishop check and queen gone. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bhai, this is white to play. Can white win the game? No, save the game. I mean, can white save the game? Now, this pawn is deadly. So the bishop is there. King is badly placed. Can white save the game? How white can draw the game? How can white draw? Rook e4, pin. There is a pin. A lethal pin. What should white do? King h8. Okay, pawn push. Bishop into rook is a draw, stalemate. I am not going to take pawn push. How it is a draw? How it is a draw? Now he will push the pawn. Now black will push the pawn. Push. What we are going to do? Pawn is queening. Rook e1, block. It's a block. Now again queen threat. Again queen threat. If you take it, I will make it a rook. If you take rook into bishop, I will make it a rook. If you take rook into bishop, pawn into a rook will come. So what are you going to do now? RB1, pawn into queen, rook. RB1 is a bad move. RB1 is bad. Rook e5. Idea, you make a queen, it is a stalemate. I will make it a rook. I will make it a rook. I will make it a rook. Under promotion. Under promotion. Rook f5, then king, winning. So your correct move is rook here, draw, because this is not going to win. I mean the position rook and bishop, it is a draw. You can't force a win. Rook f5 is good move. Rook f5 is losing. You king here and winning. Now the rook will come. It is a mating net. You are in a mating net. So the correct move is rook f5. Rook and rook is a stalemate, and if you play bishop here, if you play here, it is a draw. Well done. So we finish these games. I guess tactics. Yeah, I think. No, this is one more tactics. White to play and win. White to play and win. One more tactics. Queen g6 is a wrong move. What is there in Queen g6? Not correct. Not correct, not correct. Wrong move, wrong answer. No. Queen g6 loses. There is nothing in Queen g6. Bishop into king h8. You take and run away. King will run away g7. Not correct, not correct. Yes, Vinay. Knight e5 is the correct move. Now Queen g6. The point is the pawn remains pinned. Only now Queen g6. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and mate. So knight e5 preliminary before Queen g6 preliminary knight e5 and b e5 is more correct execution. Yesterday I showed you a variation that in the opening the queen sacrifice for two minor pieces and two pawns. It is the right execution for white. I will show you. Now queen, you have got knight, and now knight. The point is, after you play king a2, the game is not winning. Knight into pawn, and black has sufficient counterplay. There are weaknesses. White pieces are not active, and it is sufficient counterplay for black. So what we should do? The threat is knight here check and threat. So queen f2. This is the correct way. Now the point is that black pieces are cramped, and white will take advantage of this. Forced. Now black is pushed back. So white starts. White has a choice to play on king side and queen side, both way. So h4. Pressure. Good move. You cannot take that. That will run into more trouble. Forced. Now the queen side is very much unprotected and very shaky. c6 does not work. After c6, he will take pawn into, and you cannot take pawn into pawn. The knight on a6 is hanging. And white pieces he has mobilized. Grandmaster Rajwaza, he has handled excellently. Now rook will double on the J line also. You cannot dislodge that knight. It is getting. Now f4 break will come. Eventually white will have a breakthrough on the king side as well. Nothing is moving around. So this is the right way to play queen f2, not king e2. Yesterday I showed that after the move here king e2 and black got counterplay. Knight into pawn and no coordination. So take away square from the knight. That is the reason here I recommend here queen to f2, and position is white is better. So the variation has black has abandoned this variation. Okay, so all right, next game I will show two more games so that to convince you. This is Kasimuddin Dennis and Zhu Wenju, the current women world champion. Zhu Wenju is the current women world chess champion, and Kasimuddin Dennis is a very strong young Russian grandmaster. The main idea of the f3 line is to discourage the Grunfeld defense. Now d5, take e4, there is no exchange, white loses time. This is one way of avoiding the Grunfeld defense. Now d5 is bad. Now take. Now this is clear better. No knight c3. You lose time. So bg7, d6. Now there are lines with some kind of traps. A player should avoid playing for trap. For example, now a pawn push. This is some silly trap, but don't play for it. Now e5. Now black plays knight. Now if you play mechanically, then bishop h6. Bishop h6 is coming. Now queen into check, and then take. A bad bishop is gone. This is favorable to black. So this is bad. This is playing for a trap. So one should not, because this is a very natural move. Knight c3 is very natural move, but the correct move h4. And now what is this move? Moving the piece say 2 times. Anyway, h4 is a part of the white's future strategy. White's future strategy is to storming the pawns. So it is a part of the plan. So h4 is the correct move, and this turns out to be a waste of time. Now bh6 is not there. That is why one should not play for traps. So castle. However, in a rapid game, in a blitz game, you can go for this e5, d5, knight d7, and then bishop h6. In a blitz game, it's okay, nothing wrong. All right. Now check. So queen. No. You should play queen f2. I don't recommend this line. Queen f2 line. King now queen f2, queen f2. Okay, this game I see the variation I land. Now white can go for a kingside attack. This is a recent game, 2017 game. You cannot dislodge that knight with f6, weakening g6 and weakening e6. Very well played. Scientific play. Forced to passivity. Forced. You can't consider the d6 pawn, only move. And now there is no counter play. The black knight on a6 and c8 is just very poorly placed. So for the queen, there is no such activity. I don't think the variation is just tops. No time to play. No time to play. Knight into. Okay. Finishing the game. Winning. The position, black has no activity, nothing to do. Rooks are passive. Knight is unable to come into the game. Taras formula, standard knight and centralized pieces should win. Okay. After BB5, NF3 variation in Royal Lopez. BB5, NF3, what is that line? You are asking something. What is that line you are asking? E4, E5, NF3, NC6, BB5, BB5. What is the NF3 line? There is no knight F3 here. After BB5, you mean knight F6. You mean to play knight F6. That is the line. This is Berlin. Basically, Royal Lopez is divided into two parts. One is with A6, one is without A6. Without A6, these are the class. I mean, this is the bars. This is 1. This is classical 2. This is Silliman 3. This is Steinis 4. This is Fianchetto. All these things. Every line white is better. Except Berlin, white is little better. All the other lines, white has a distinct advantage. Please answer my question. Raju Ajayev game. Okay, Raju Ajayev game, I will go. Raju Ajayev game. Okay. Hey, Raju Ajayev game, where is? What was the questions of in S3 was hanging for a long time in previous game. What is Raju Ajayev's game? Or she goes says Rook G1, why black did not take on S3? Okay, I just come to that. Maybe the move mutation. Now this is actually, it is a notation error. This is basically a notation error. The move should have been here, not Rook G1. I think Knight G5. See, he has come to Knight G5 later on. Like this has come. I think. No, this is Knight G5 comes. It is a notation error. Before moving the rook, he has played NG5. So it is a insert notation. This is the point. Now if you play, the knight will enter. Next Rook G1. I mean, this is just a notation error. I do not know how to insert. You can insert the move here, but I don't know the command. I don't know the command how to insert NG5. Though actually before this is the knight move, and then he brings Rook G1. Yeah, your question is right. This is just notation move mistake. Okay. All right. I will be back. 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. All right. Yeah, the question was right. Now I would like to tell you what about India, sir, G6 line playable in Royal Lopez. No, G6 line is bad. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6. I will tell you what are the odd lines other than a6. G6 is bad. Why G6 is bad? D4. And now bishop G4, bishop G5. Now if you come here, now the point is the bishop belongs this point. So after the move, you can play here H4. This is giving trouble. This is giving trouble too. Okay, so this move is not good. Maybe you can even play bishop and castle. White stands better. So you can play f6. This is the theoretical line. Ng6, Ng7 is bad because of bishop. So theoretical line is this. Former world champion Smyslov used to play this. Spassky also played one time. So I mean this position, white stands better. White stands better. Because the king side is compromised. The diagonal is very weak. So white has got an easy game. So bb5 g6, the correct move is d4 and takes this bishop g5, white better. And other line like here bb5 nd4, this is bards is just bad. You take and you play bishop c4. The idea of bishop c4, it is now bishop c5 is not coming. Because if bishop c5, then check is there. The check is coming. So you cannot play this move. That means you have to make provision for this. Then how are you going to do? Okay. So this point is, it is very important. You can castle also. You can also castle. You can castle on bishop. Now also you can give a threat. You can give a threat. And now if you play d6, white stands better after c3. The idea, if you take, now white has the very good center, superior center. And now this is an instructive blunder, positional blunder. After knight f6, pawn into pawn, bishop into pawn, queen check. Now if you play c6, bishop check is coming. And if you play bishop check is coming, same thing. And if you play king f8, the position of the king is compromised. Now black king is poorly placed. White is fantastic. Poor placement. And this is very easy now. Now what you do, black trick is to play some knight here and then queen here, all this thing. I will stop the plan. I will stop it. Now bishop attacked. He maintained. Now white is smooth. Now white pieces will develop smoothly. And black position uncoordinated. Bad rook, bad king. So not coordinated. Okay, this is bad position. So we have this nd4 is bad because you take and castle with the idea bishop c4. It's clear better for white. You can't do this because of c3. You can't maintain the center. So, and this is bad. Suppose here, no. Suppose you play here bishop to c5. This is what you call is classical. Then the idea is improved bards. Suppose you castle, now you will play knight. This is also white better. This is also white better. But it is better to prevent the exchange. Better. Why should I allow this? On knight here, you can do d4 and now castle. This is bad. Now pawn into pawn means e5 is coming with a clear initiative. And now the d5 is a threat. So this also gives initiative to white. And knight into pawn is risky with king in center. Knight into pawn is risky business. So here f5, bb5, f5, this is called Silliman. Left lie electric, electric, left lie electric. Silliman is queen e2, white stands better. For example, pawn into, you can play bishop into knight, and pawn into queen check, and next move I come back, one pawn extra, it is extra pawn, queen e2, on pawn into queen into, if you play queen into, and now bishop d6. Now don't take this pawn. Now the point is, white is clearly, what is the strength of white? White's strength is superior pawn structure. Look at this double pawn. Look at this double pawn, weak pawn. There are 3 pawn island. So you must keep the square in control. You must keep the square in control. That means it is better to play knight c3. Knight c3. The idea, knight is watching the square. So that to meet knight f6 with queen. Now both queen and knight are watching this point. So he cannot advance. He cannot advance. Now you castle. D3. 1, 2, 3. Now watching this square. Now bishop g4 is not good. Knight g5. No tricks. No tricks is working. Now this point is further guarded. And now if you play queen, f3. F3. With the idea, next move I will plant the knight. So this is also not good. So here, this position, d3 is plus. D3 is plus. White stands better. Now if you come here, queen into queen, and now I will not move from here. The knight is like a rock. Rock. Nothing is problem. Okay. Very strong position. So you don't have to worry. Queen e2, white stands better. Take. This is good. And if you play ef3, first check, and then one pawn up. So Silliman is very good. nf6 line. nf6 line, bb5. This is called Steinitz. I will come to nf6. So d4, knight f6, knight c3, bishop d7. Now castle, bishop e7, rook e1. Now white must surrender the center. The Royal Lopez is based, the Spanish attack is based, the pressure on the center. Now if you castle, you lose a pawn. 110 years back, Taras showed this against Margot. Taras and Margot game 1910, 110 साल पहले. For example, bishop takes knight, bishop into, pawn into, queen into, rook into, knight into, no, bishop into. Now bishop into is 4, otherwise knight into bishop. Bishop into, knight d3. अभी ये दोनों में एक गणपत हो गया. एक गणपत हो गया. So Evan's gambit is also not good. नहीं चलता है ये सब gambit विम्बिट है ना. It is against amateur players will work. Masters will eat the gambit. All the masters, they will wait and eat the gambit. Now this is just bad. Now f5 f3, check. I take. The bishop comes. Now rook comes, and now c4. Now rook moves anywhere, the bishop is just coming to gobble. Okay, if you take the other pawn, if you take with the other one, rook into, not this, let us say this rook into. This is also losing material. This is also knight into pawn, bishop into, knight into nd3, f5. f5, you play f3, bishop check. Now king e2. Now black will make a smart move. Idea, pawn into, he will get a discover. But king e2 and एक पीस गणपत हो गया. इवेंस गैम्बिट वगैरह नहीं चलता है. All this gambit business is not correct. Bishop c4, bishop c5. Bishop c5, b4, now c3. This is not good. I mean, bishop b6, d4. Here, this is an interesting line. Very old game, but white stands better. But here main line is pawn into castle. Now grabbing the pawn, you will run into Murphy era. If you grab the pawn, then Murphy will show you how to win Murphy's games. So don't be greedy here. Now pawn into pawn. Here you play knight. This is risky business. e5. So safest way. Now pawn into pawn. Now you cannot castle. This is just terrible. So you have to play d5. Destroy the center. Now take knight into queen b3. Now knight. This is okay. This position is okay. Now for example, you cannot play re1. What else you want to do? Maybe you can play here. You maintain the pawn. Bishop e6 is better. This is the correct move for black. Bishop e6, queen takes pawn. It is bad because of knight b4. Suddenly the threat is coming. Queen is in trouble. The queen is in trouble. So you run, the rook is coming, winning the game. That is why queen into pawn is a risky business. And if you play bishop a3, even this will not help. Bishop is equal. Black has an easy game. Next castle. Nothing is there. आप सारे ओपनिंग को क्या गणपत कर देते हो? अरे भाई मैं कोच हूं. कोच का काम है बच्चों को सिखाना है. I will not misguide you by telling Evans Gambit is winning. That is, Evans Gambit is playable. Don't think Evans Gambit is losing in the hands of Murphy, Gary Kasparov and Bobby Fischer. They have won with Evans Gambit. But that is not because of the opening. It is of the strength of the players. So this is nothing. Okay. So I will tell you Roy Lopez. e4, e5, n3, nc6, bishop c4, bb5. Now और दूसरा क्या बोल रहा था ये what you are telling is this is Berlin defense. Now here castle. Now knight into pawn. Now d4. The point is, if you do not open the game, you cannot get an advantage because rook e1 is not good. Rook e1, you lose advantage. Knight d6 will come. Now you have to take. Now this is not a great position. Rook takes pawn, bishop. White is underdeveloped. Now he is going to castle. There is a problem now. There is after d4 castle. There is a problem. How white is going to develop his pieces. You can't play nd2. nd2 there is more problem will come. nd2 maybe you can play bf6. There is pressure will come here. So rook into pawn, you get nothing here. That is why you have to play d4 here. d4. Only way to take advantage. Now if you play nd6, this variation white stands better. Black is equal. Knight into bishop, a4. And now return the piece. Knight into, queen into d5. White has nothing because after pawn into, queen into. Now queen check, queen here. You have nothing here. Just now rook here, you will exchange. There are not pieces left. Black has bishop pair. So better white should take a draw. If you do not take a draw, white will come into trouble. For example, let us say you go somewhere, maybe something like this. Then once he brings bishop, then he will castle. This is not a good position. This is not a good position for white. So you should, the variation, it is not enough. So that means here, after the move, correct move is to play bishop into knight. Now this is a bad move, because pawn into, the knight will come here. This is a very passive position. Then queen e2 with the idea rook d1 and d4, then into crushing. This is all crushing. Hey.